Hello, and welcome to the First Brick Property Podcast, episode 13. The purpose of the podcast is to bring a casual style show to discuss all things property, with education being the key. Our episodes will range from discussing a variety of topics to having special guests who can share insights into the property world. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned investor, this show will be able to further your knowledge and really remove any barriers to getting involved in the exciting and fun world of property. Today I have a very special guest with me. This guest went on a journey to pursue a dream, to pursue a mission. This person, their journey has only just begun, but it has begun. My very special guest today is Mr. Saimon Sami. Simon, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. I can't complain. Long day at work, but other than that, it's been good.
Yeah, how's the quarantine treating you?
It's not the best, but I just want the gyms to reopen and things like that, just so we can go back to our normal lifestyle. But at least we get to spend time with our families.
Yeah, I guess that's a good positive for some people, maybe. So Simon, a lot of people might not know you. Or most people probably wouldn't know you, and so do you want to tell the listeners a little bit about yourself? And I also mentioned in the introduction that you had a dream. Like Martin Luther, and a mission, and it's just begun. So, do you want to let people know what that's all about?
Yeah, I'm a lawyer actually. I'm a lawyer that works for the Commonwealth Bank of Australia. I work in the group customer relations team, doing complaints and complaint handling. I think essentially my financial dream was to be financially free. I guess like many of us. So essentially, this is my first step into getting to that dream, and we'll see how it goes.
That's cool. So, so you're sitting there all day dealing with people's complaints. It must be a bit stressful.
Yeah, most of the time. But essentially, we're trying to better off everyone in these times, especially because of the coronavirus and things like that.
Yeah. So you guys are the real heroes.
I wouldn't say heroes. I think the doctors and nurses are.
Cool. So, if you haven't guessed yet, Simon is a customer of First Brick. Actually, he's our most recent customer, and he's been gracious enough to join us on the podcast. So this episode may seem a little self-serving, and it probably will be. But I thought it might be a good chance to speak to the other side of the process, and it might help other listeners with their journeys. So Simon, if you don't mind, we'll ask a few questions, and really, I guess your role here today is to help other people who are thinking about purchasing property. So you cool with that?
Yeah, not a problem. Happy to help.
Great.
Possible.
So I guess my first question to you, Simon, is what was it like? What was your journey like before, I guess, you had First Brick in your corner?
That's a good question. It was very stressful. I think it was a very stressful time, just based on the fact that you don't know where to start from. You don't know where anything is or how to find something. In general, you're trying to invest in Australia. You're trying to invest in which state, which area in that state. What's your budget? Where can your budget fit in regards to certain states and in where you can buy essentially. So it's very, very hard to look into where you can buy and what where the first step is to take. But I think when I got First Brick in my corner, essentially they broke it down for me and they made it pretty easy in regards to, I just said what my budget was, what I want to do, where I want to go, what my 5, 10, 15, 20 year plan was, and they took over from there and told me where I can go. Yeah,
cool. So is it safe to say before we started to communicate with you, it's a bit confusing because there's a lot of information out there, and just doing it on your own, you don't know where to start, pretty much.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's more than a time. It's more than a time battle. I think it's more of a battle of like you said, you just don't know where to start. You don't know where where it all starts, where it all ends, and essentially like. Personally, someone like me and a lot of other people don't have we're not you're not time free either.
Yeah.
So time was also another factor that I just didn't have, and I couldn't commit to this 100% of my time.
Yeah, for sure. And this being your first purchase, I don't know if you mind me saying that on the podcast, it's your first purchase. Just the process as well is probably a bit, it's all new to you, a bit different, and just even going through the process might be a bit difficult.
Yeah, so certain things that I knew from just from experience and like work and things like that. But I think once you're in it yourself, it's different to when someone else is in it. So when I was in it myself, a lot of other things had come up, and I had no idea what was going on. But to have First Brick in in my corner, it was literally a godsend really, because they were if I didn't understand something, you just pick up the phone and ask that question.
Yeah,
that question was answered.
Cool. You kind of alluded to this already, but what problem were you trying to solve when you first approached us at First Brick?
I think essentially, if I put in layman's terms, it's just which state, where am I going to invest with the money I've got.
Yeah. So you had your budget, but you didn't really know where to look or what.
That's right.
What property to buy, kind of thing. Well, you didn't really have the strategy yet.
I had nothing. To be honest, I don't lie to you.
Yeah, for sure. So where did you start your search to find a service like ours? How did you come across us?
It was just a number of things. So essentially, the social media platforms are very helpful these days with everything, not just really everything, news, weather, the rest of it. I think I went on Google and I had a search in regards to finding someone to help in regards to buying a property. I then came across like First Brick, and I clicked in, and it was a buyer's agency, so I thought I'd give it a call and see what it is. And then I eventually looked into the Instagram and Facebook page and saw exactly that's what I needed. So I reached out to them.
So that's cool. So you found us through social media essentially, which is great because we put a lot of content on social media. So it's good to know that someone's looking at it. But what really made our service stand out to you from others? I'm sure you saw other buyer's agency businesses. Maybe you didn't, but if you did, what really drew you to us?
Just the way, I'll go back to the social media posts and things like that. So I know there are others buyer's agency. I haven't seen too many, maybe 2 or 3 of others. But just the way that posts were put up and certain figures that I wanted to see, what I wanted to see was there. So example about guarantors and things like that you had spoken about, and that's something I had used.
Yeah.
So essentially, that for me, you guys knew what I wanted. So that's why it stood out for me.
Yeah, cool. I think with our social media and with our entire business model, we pretty much want to continuously give out education for free. So if anyone's listening and hasn't been on our pages yet, I really implore you to go in, follow our Facebook page or LinkedIn or YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. We're on everything. Because all we do every single day, we're putting out content, free content, and it's just education. We don't really plug the business, although we probably should a little bit more. But it's really just teaching people different aspects of the property journey. Like our podcast, for example, even this episode, just how to find the buyer's agent and what to expect. So definitely get onto our socials and have a look there. My next question, was there an obstacle that almost prevented you from going ahead with our services, or were you just keen, jump on it straight away?
To be honest, the only obstacle that I faced was before I actually got First Brick on board, because that was too much of an effort to figure anything out on my own.
Yeah.
So that was it. I was ready to leave then and there. But when as I said before, someone mentioned buyer's agency, and when I looked into that and I found First Brick, I was like, you know what, this could be my last shot at this to see if someone can help me. If no one can, then I'm gonna have to sort it out myself when I'm more time free. At this point of my career, I just didn't have the time.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Was there any features of our service that really took you over the line to get ahead? Because I know obviously you contacted me. And we had a chat and we discussed, through in our complimentary conversation, we discussed where you're at now, where you want to be in the future. We went through a strategy and we did some modeling. Yeah. Was there something that really stood out to you that pushed you over the line, or was it once you spoke to me, you realized how nice of a guy I am, and you decided that's it, let's go ahead?
Yeah, we'll give you that, I guess.
Yeah, appreciate it.
But essentially, I think it was a matter of the way that you took ownership of what I wanted, what I wanted to happen. But at the same time, gave me ownership at the same time as well. So, it was more of like, this is what we're going to do. Do you want to do this? And I made, decisions, things like that were based on, recommendations and certain things like, where I'm going to go, what am I going to do. If I didn't understand something and, as I said, First Brick's much more, in touch with everything else than I am. So there's no way I could have known certain things. So I think majority of our conversations was just questions.
Yeah.
You can confirm that.
Yeah.
So
Few questions.
Yeah, so essentially, I think it's a matter of just there was no pushiness. I genuinely felt like that First Brick had my first my best interest at heart. So
Yeah, that's good to hear. But you're correct. So what we do in our process is, like you said, we do take ownership because we can do the modeling and we can figure out what's the best for you. But we explain every single step along the way.
Yeah.
We don't leave you out of it at any point. And like I said, a big part of why we do this is to educate. So we will continuously updating you and educating you as to why we're doing certain things and why we're going to look at this state or that area, and why we're chasing a bit more yield or maybe more growth. Whatever our decision is, we are explaining it, and we don't make the decision. We make our recommendations, like you said, and obviously you, being the customer, make that final decision. But we like to think we give you enough information and education behind that so you're comfortable making those decisions. We'll go on to the next question. What made you happiest about working with our company?
I think it's essentially, in one word, it would be freedom. That I still was free with my time.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when I did have the time, you guys were free for me. So essentially, that's I think no one can ask for anything more than that. Someone always at there, like I'll be honest, I don't think First Brick's missed a call from me.
Yeah, we tried to pick up all our calls.
Yeah.
I think freedom is a good word actually that you use there, because one of the reasons a lot of people use buyer's agents is because they're time poor. You yourself working for Commonwealth Bank at the moment during the COVID-19 situation, these unprecedented times, there's a lot of work that the banks are doing at the moment, and the staff that work for the banks are probably, what I know, are severely, like they're doing a lot of hours, they're doing a lot of work just to make sure things are still running. So, and what we want to do is make sure that people that have lives and work and children and families and activities and hobbies and the million and one things that people do during their week, we can take this little part out of their week and give them a bit more freedom, like you said. So we do try and answer all our calls. If we miss one, we'll call you back. But we do work all hours of the night. As you could probably attest, there was a couple of phone calls after midnight. We're still picking up the phone. Don't call us after midnight though. We're trying to sleep, but we will pick it up. Essentially, we're trying to help out. So that's a good word, freedom. I like it.
Thanks.
My next question, what have you been able to achieve since using our service? I mean, obviously
a house,
an investment property.
I think just getting my foot into the property market.
Yeah.
Someone always told me that it's never a bad time in regards to these kind of things. So essentially, like for me, this was the time I was going to do it. So that's, I think, the best thing I've achieved so far in regards to this whole journey. I'm happy that I'm in this, the situation I'm in now. I'm in that kind of market, and now I can look into my second or third. But I guess we have to give it a bit until I start thinking about my second.
Yeah. So that's true. Like what you're saying there. So obviously the house component. I mean, that's what we do. That's what you pay us to do. We purchase the property and we do all the research. But I think you've also got now a bit of a plan going forward that you didn't really have when you first came to us. But now I think you can see your next few steps. Like you said, you're looking at number 2 and 3 already.
Yeah.
And number 1 is settling in the next day or 2 or something like that. So, but we're already looking forward to the future, and it hasn't really impacted your lifestyle too much because of the way we're looking at modeling it. So I think you've also gained that, like you mentioned, that plan, that forward thinking, or
the roadmap ahead, I guess.
the roadmap to become financially free. That's a quote, isn't it? Roadmap to become financially free. I'm going to have to save that later.
Good. Yeah, you can put it down.
I'll credit to you, don't worry.
Thanks.
I've got a few more questions. What has exceeded your expectations since working with us, or when you were working with us? Is there anything that you just like, yeah, I didn't expect that, but they did it anyway? Or was it all just what you expected?
It was everything I expected and more, but I think essentially the speed of things, how things were done.
Yeah.
It took me I think 5.5 months to open a computer. And
yeah,
I think it took about a quarter of that time to, get this all done. That's with the settlement time as well.
Yeah. So
I think that the speed of it, just the way that it was handled, taken care of, made me feel like, it was their property they're buying for their investment, but really it was, something for me. It made me feel like that nothing else was a priority except me at this point of time. So I think with that and with speed came this home. And essentially, I guess, we go back to the roadmap.
Yeah, for sure. Speed is something that we like to do in our property journey. And when we say speed, we don't just purchase the first property we see. We take our time with our research. We take our time looking for the right property. But once we find it, we like to act quickly because that usually always gives us the edge. If there's any other buyers interested in the same property, we've got the edge because we're moving quickly. So I think with your property, Sammy, from start of research till offer being accepted and due diligence was, what was it? Less than 2 weeks?
Yeah, I think 12 days.
12 days.
11, 12 days.
But that's 12 days that we were working 12 hours a day on your property, doing in-depth research. But once we found that property, we were in it and we were going for it and we got a great deal. You probably don't mind if I mention some stats.
No, I don't.
40,000 under market value. And it was in a top location. It's very close to the Brisbane CBD. Great rental yields coming up and building and pest inspection was great. No issues there at all. Any little issues that were there that you always find in your building and pest, we actually used to negotiate. So we actually got a little bit more cash coming back into your pocket. So 12 days, but once we found it, we went in hard and we got it in quick and the sellers were happy to take it because we moved so quick. So speed is something that we like to do and work with. Would you recommend our business to others, and what would be the main reason? If you say no, we're going to have to end this entire podcast.
That's understandable. Now, that goes without saying. Of course, I'd recommend it. I think the main reason is what we just came from talking about is time. I think people that are trying to look and invest and things like that are normally time poor. I'll speak for myself. I don't want to speak about the general population, but I believe I'm very time poor. Just based on just work and things like that. Sometimes you have a bit of time off, but I guess we call it time off for a reason. And you just want to just relax and take a step back for a sec. So I don't really want to do anything in that kind of time. But so I think essentially the main reason would be if you want someone to buy you a home, investment home, and occupy whatever it is with in the most best fashion, with if you're time poor and if want it in a speedy kind of time frame. I think just one of the biggest reasons I will recommend First Brick.
Yeah, beautiful. We appreciate that. I think we also time poor is a huge factor for people to use a buyer's agent or contact First Brick. Like you said, people, you go to work all day and then you got things after hours and whatnot. And even if you were trying to do it alone, if you're going to an open house, a couple of open houses on the weekend, you're not getting the time to do the research that we do. A few things that I noticed when we were doing your property, that you were over the process as well. Like you said at the start, it was just you didn't know what to look for. There was a bit going on. So that's something that we see a lot of people, if they're over the process, they contact us and then happens really quickly after that. First time buyers and first time investors, like very common people coming up to talk to us at First Brick. And another one is, just simply acknowledging and appreciating the industry expert.
That's right, yeah.
I would like to think that we taught you a lot in the process and a lot of things, what to look for, what not to look for, maybe how to negotiate a little bit. But there are so many things that we like to teach and so many reasons why we think people should use a property buyer's agent, especially First Brick. So, but time is definitely a big one. Sort of already asked this, but I might ask it in a different sense. So, was there anything about the business that surprised you the most? I mean, I know the whole buyer's agency world is a bit new to, nearly everyone in Australia. Was there something about our business that surprised you
I
at
think
all?
the business itself, like you just said.
Yeah.
I think I didn't know. I knew brokers existed, I knew real estate agents existed, but I didn't know the service of someone can buy me a house if I tell them what I want existed.
Yeah.
But I guess, who knows what's out there till you look.
That's it, yeah. And that's a big reason why we do all our information, our content, is to really educate people about what we do. So, fun fact, 80% of properties purchased in the US are purchased through a buyer's agent. So in America, it's almost not normal to not use a buyer's agent, whereas here there are so little, such a small niche market, niche business, but definitely an important business, an important service. And like if I've got issues with my whatever it is, I go to a lawyer. If my feet hurt, I'll see a podiatrist. If my back hurts, I'll see my physio. If I'm sick, I'll go to my doctor. If my car's not working, I'm not fixing that myself. I'm going to my mechanic, right? So buyers agents, we're here. We're very knowledgeable about the market and the property industry. So if you're looking to buy a house, we would say use a buyer's agent, use First Brick. If you're looking to sell a house, use a real estate agent for sure. So you wouldn't sell your house without using a real estate agent. We reckon you shouldn't be buying them without a buyer's agent. Was there anything we could have done differently for your property? Was there anything you wanted done different, or?
I'll be honest. No, I thought about this question actually the other day. Just in general, if there's only a better experience. I don't know if my experience could have been any better. I think it was the tip top, I believe.
That's some big praise.
Yeah, but it's not.
We'll take it.
It's facts really.
Yeah, we do endeavour to make every customer's journey as good as it can be. Thankfully we have only been receiving 5-star reviews on all our platforms, so hopefully we can keep going. And I think we achieved that because we just put the customer first. Our motto is really, how can we help you? That's it. That's our question. You tell us how we can help you and we do it for you. We'll probably finish up now. If there's anything else you'd like to comment or say about First Brick or your experience at all, for anyone listening, if you have anything else to say, this might be the tipping point. Do you have any final comments?
No, just a big thanks to First Brick Property, just for everything, just for taking my calls past midnight. Don't call them past midnight, but I did. Taking my calls when I needed answering. Just when I was stressed, the people that First Brick just made me feel like, nothing to be stressed about. They've got it covered, and I think at the end of the day, they did have it covered. I just stressed too much, but yeah, just a big thank you. Yeah, you're quite all right, mate. Do you want to just let everyone know how old you are real quick? How old I am?
Yep.
26.
26. So if anyone here is listening and thinking, oh, this is all nice and well, and he's, nice and old bloke here, and he's got probably millions in the bank. He does, because he's a rich guy. No, but the point of me asking that question is a young bloke, young professional, single income, and we've got him in the market, and we've got him a great property that's going to make him money in cash flow and in equity. So if you're a young person as well, feel free to contact us. Just have a chat with us. It's complimentary. We'll have a talk, we'll have a chat, and see if we can do anything for you. And if we can't, we will tell you we can't, because I think it's better for us to say we can't help you at the moment than try and string you along. We are all about really helping people trying to remove spruikers from the business. We're trying to remove people making bad financial mistakes. And so definitely have a chat with us, and we don't just take on anyone. So give us a buzz and we'll have a talk. So there you have it all. Our interview with our very special guest has come to an end. So thank you for listening as always. Just a quick note, a couple of weeks ago we did a podcast on offset accounts and redraws. We have put up a video on our social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and LinkedIn, and TikTok, about the difference that can be made in your financial situation through offset accounts. So jump onto those platforms, have a look at the video, have a watch. It's a great video. We've had great feedback about it. There's a whiteboard and texters and everything, so it's pretty full on. There's a party going on there. So definitely jump on. So you can find all our content on our socials, like I just mentioned. Just search First Brick Property and we'll pop up there. If you do have any questions you'd like to be discussed, such as what we did today, or any questions, we will do another Q&A episode soon, maybe in 2 weeks' time, episode 15. So please send us a message at hello@firstbrick.com.au or shoot us a message on our social platforms, and we will endeavor to answer your question for you. If you enjoyed the episode, we would love a review. This helps us get higher up in the charts and allows more people to find us and listen and learn. So please, if you want to give us a review, we'll take a 5-star review. Pass the Pass the Pod movement continues. So if you know one person, just one person that you think would benefit from this podcast, just let them know. That's all we're asking for. And if they know one person, they'll let one person know, and we'll pass the pod. We'll start a movement. You're at home, Corona, listen to some podcasts, get educated. Buying property is our passion. Helping you do it is our mission. Thanks. Bye.